start, I want to do something, and some of you may be thinking, oh my gosh, she's making us stand up. And she will, so please stand up. I'm serious, stand up. No throwing off your phones. Okay, so now turn to the person next to you and say, hi Barbie! Hi Barbie! So much fun. My job here is that. Okay, you can sit down. Okay, cool. So, some of you might be wondering, who is this girl making us stand up? My name is Christina Zaranjo, and I've been in SEO like over a decade. I keep saying over a decade, every year, and it just growing and growing. I don't want to accept it. But so I moved from being in e-commerce and technical SEO into the world of course creation, and I created some popular courses, Tech SEO Pro and SEO friendly website migrations. I'm also a speaker, as you can guess, and I'm very excited to be here because back in 2020, during the first ever Women in Tech SEO Festival back in London, UK, in 2020, just before everything shut down, I was also the speaker at that event, so I'm very excited to be the speaker of the first US edition. That's amazing. And also, you might know this extension, maybe you might be using it. I didn't pay them for that, so it's a free extension. It just saves lots of time when you're doing SEO tasks. And before I start talking about sneaky technical SEO issues, I want to ask you a question. Raise your hand if you have ever faced a critical technical SEO issue. Right? I feel the struggle here. Yes! I feel the struggle here, and actually my passion with technical SEO started with one of these sneaky issues. What usually happens? You live your life, you're happy, your hair looks perfect, and then the next moment, a technical SEO issue appears out of nowhere. And it's the worst because it's like uninvited guests. You never expect them, but then you need to get rid of them as soon as possible. And then the traffic might be going down, Google can't index your pages or the content. Yeah, it just leads to really bad conversations. And as I said, my passion with these small technical SEO things started really early in my career. Meet young Christina. She just finished an SEO course. She probably got a certificate, and she was hired as a junior SEO by one SEO agency. She was so excited, she was eager to learn and to help clients to rank websites. So she got an e-commerce client, and she recommended implementing canonicals in order to fix the duplicate content issues. But even 2 weeks later, after the implementation, something was wrong. Google wouldn't pick up those canonicals. That's where our young Christina becomes a detective and starts figuring out what's wrong there. So I looked at the recommendation that I sent, and then I looked at the implementation very, very thoroughly. Who can spot a difference here? Right? All developers. So instead of href and then introducing the URL, what they did, they implemented href. I don't know about you, but href is an official HTML tag that introduces a URL, and then href is just a random combination of letters, like nothing to see there. And that's why, obviously, Google couldn't figure out what's going on, because code, language, and this is the wrong language. They were not speaking the language that Google wanted to understand. So once we fixed it, we saw the results almost immediately. But that's why I realized, okay, that such small issues can lead to really bad consequences. So today, I really want you to go with me on this journey of 3 examples of sneaky technical SEO issues so that you can find them, resolve them, so that your website or your client's website doesn't become a weird Barbie. Obviously, in technical SEO, let's be honest, there's so many things to consider, but we'll stop on 3 today, and we'll open 3 doors. I want to make it entertaining so that it's not boring, because technical SEO sometimes can be boring, but my job is to make it interesting. So, we are opening the first door, and drum roll. We're going to talk about buttons versus links. Okay, interesting, right? So what do we know about buttons versus links? From user perspective, buttons trigger an action, and links point from one page to another. So basically, buttons, if adding to cards, submitting a form, and links play a really significant role in internal and external linking and overall website navigation. You might be thinking, why? Okay, cool. Why is that important? I won't answer you just yet, because before that we'll play a game. I promise you, you just can see I'm not going to make you stand up. Instead, I'll show you 4 examples of pages and elements there. And I'll ask you to guess if the element that I'm showing to you is a link or a button. So your left hand is going to be for link. Link left starts with L, so easy to remember. And then button is going to be for right hand. So if you think that the element I'm going to show to you is a link, then raise left hand, and button, then raise right hand. Let's go. So watch the demo here. Is it a link or a button? Left hand for a link, right hand for a button. Okay, great. And then on to the next one. Right hand view here. Is it a link or a button? Left hand for a link, right for a button. Okay. And then add to shopping cart. Is it a link or a button? Amazing. And we have the last one. Buy now. Is it a link or a button? Cool. Thank you so much for participating. I really appreciate it. Now, are you ready for the right answers? Right. There is no judgment here. It's just for this specific website. This could be anything, honestly. So the first one, watch demo, was a link, and then write a review was a button, and then add to shopping cart was a button, and then buy now was a link. Ooh, right? I hear, oh my god. Exactly. So I'm curious, who got it right? Just raise any hand. All of them. Okay, right? So what we just learned, that buttons from user experience can be styled as links, and links can be styled as buttons. Now you'll be thinking, well, that's interesting, actually, wow, never thought about that, but Christina, do you really need to think about that? Yes, girl, you do. Because it's easy, links, buttons, okay, cool. You sometimes use links instead of buttons, sometimes buttons instead of links, but problems happen when you confuse, or not you, maybe developers confuse the code, what they need to use in order to add links or buttons. So, in the code, when we're talking about web standards, link buttons are read with button or input if it's part of the form, and links are added with href and then the URL. Here is example. It's not really listed here, but anyway, trust me, there is a link. So you can see A, and then href, and then there is the URL there. And what's interesting is that you can also see a class, and the class mentions button there. But if you add a class button, you can call it anyhow. Here it's called button. If you add a class to any HTML element, and this class would have a button, it doesn't actually make this element a button. It's like selling guest post doesn't really make you read SEO. So button and class button are not the same. Here's an example. Continue shopping. They have button here, so it's obviously a button. It's not a link. Okay, pretty straightforward. But problem starts when people confuse those. So as I said, links are added with a href URL, but sometimes developers or people working with the website choose to use buttons where there should be links. and they add links between the location or on-click events. And that's not going to work. Because from a web perspective, if you want Google to see a link and attribute it to internal or external navigation, there should be a href attribute. If it's added with just JavaScript, that's not going to make magic and have it as part of your internal link. And to illustrate that, I absolutely love this example because everything is wrong here. That's right. That's actually navigation of an e-commerce website. What you would expect from the navigation to have links, and also it's one of the most important parts of the website so that you can show the importance of different pages and improve internal linking. But here they have buttons and then on-click events leading to the pages, to specific pages. Why it's sneaky? Because from a user perspective, if you were just there as a user, if you click, well, you won't see the difference if it's a link or if it's added like this. But from Google perspective and from SEO perspective, that's pretty significant. So in this case, obviously, they should have used links. So the next time, when you need to decide about this or that element, whether it should be a link or a button, whether your client has an issue with this on the website, just use those 3 easy rules. First of all, use links to direct people to other pages. Use buttons if you want to trigger an action, such as adding to cart or submitting a form. Don't confuse the two. These are the rules. But if you follow them, it really makes a difference. Ooh, that was fun. Okay. Now on to the second one. And the second door is images as backgrounds.
Oh no.
And then it's not a secret here, honestly, that images are important, right? So if you have a category page and there are images there, they can rank in the search results, they can rank in image search, and they can bring pretty significant traffic to the website. Here's an example, just traffic on the image search. We want that. We want the traffic. But all this works only if Google can index the images. Surprise. Otherwise, all your image optimization will just fall flat. And here we are going back to our good old web standards. How are images added? So you need to use image tag, and then source, and then the URL, which leads to the location of this image, so that Google can grab this image, index, rank. It's not like actually grabbing, honestly, but kind of. Here's a sweet, nice example of a very cute dog in a cute sweatshirt, pink sweatshirt, and it has image here, and it also has source pointing to the image location. Pretty easy. So you might be thinking, what can go wrong here? And I'm glad you asked, because here's a good example. From a user perspective, you would just see an image. It's just an image, nothing is special with it. But if you look in the code, you will see that it's added with div, and then there is background image, and then the URL to this image. So it's used with CSS as a background image as opposed to indexable image. And it's okay, that's exactly what you want to do, if this is just part of the design. But if you want this image, and in this case, I believe it's a unique image that they could actually use to get to rank on Google, because why not? So I think that would be so much better in this case to use this image as an indexable image. And this is just a small switch of how you add the image to the page. That's it. So as I said, using background images is fine if it's part of the design, and here's the official CSS thing with it, like background image and then the URL. But make sure that when you need to choose between indexable image or background image, you just follow these rules. First of all, so use image source and then the image URL if you want Google to index and rank your images, and use style CSS to add an image as a background image for design purposes only. If it's part of design and you don't want it to be ranked, that's Okay, the third one. I feel like we need a breather. Lots of stuff, so let's just breathe. And breathe out. Maybe I need a bit more than you anyway. But the next thing is lazy loading. And by the way, when preparing this, I wanted to find a picture of lazy Barbie on the Barbie website. But apparently, there are no lazy Barbies, so we'll stick with this right now. And also, while preparing, I asked ChatGPT to define lazy loading for me. So that's what it came up with. Lazy loading is a technique used in computer programming and web development to defer the loading of certain resources such as images, clips, or other assets until they're actually needed. This approach is employed to optimize the performance and user experience of applications and websites. Like it usually happens with ChatGPT, the definition is pretty boring and looks very similar to Wikipedia. But it gets better in the second and third parts. So lazy loading is often used to improve page load times exactly. Instead of loading all resources when the page initially loads, lazy loading delays the loading of non-essential resources until they become visible within the user's viewpoint. And when lazy loading images, that's exactly what we're going to talk about in a minute. Only the images that are currently visible to the user are loaded initially. As the user scrolls down the page and more images come to view, those images are loaded on demand. That's exactly what we're going to talk about. So, since we're on the same page about lazy loading, let's just continue to the lazy loading party, and we are going to the realm of JavaScript SEO here. So, when it comes to lazy loading, it's really important to understand that it's very different how we see the page versus how Google sees a page. So, we see a page, we first see the content about the fold, whether it's images, the copy, and then we scroll, we see more. But when it comes to Google, it sees the whole page. So it needs to see all the information that you have out there in order to evaluate optimization of your page. Otherwise, if it just decides if your page is good enough to rank high based on the information about the fold, that's just not going to work, really. But the problem starts, you guessed it right, I think, in your head maybe. The problem starts when Google sees the page exactly like we do. We don't want to do that because, again, you kind of shoot yourself in the foot when you restrict the content from below the fold and don't let Google to evaluate it in order to see if your page is actually really relevant to this query or not. What we need to understand here is that, first, Google doesn't interact with content. And secondly, Google doesn't scroll either. So if you rely on Google to take some action on your website in order to see the whole content, whether it's images or the copy, you'll be very disappointed, like this website here, that incorrectly implemented lazy loading and lost almost all image traffic almost overnight. So that was not fun. We don't want this to happen. Or another example, when it comes to lazy loading and images, the problem happens is when placeholder images get indexed. Here's an example. I love showing things schematically and structurally, so here we go. The content above the fold, the content below the fold. So the content below the fold would have placeholder images. This would usually be the same like dummy image, which is really low quality, the same across the website, but it's used to save some resources while the page is loading. And then when people scroll, the right images, the placeholder image would be switched to the right image so that users see the right image. But as I said, for Google, it's super critical to show the right images right out of the bat, not the placeholder images. So in this case, what can happen is that above the fold, your content will be indexed, no problem, all the right images, and then below the fold, Google bot indexes only placeholder images. I did a live case study with Martin Tweed during Google Search Central Live, exactly about placeholder images. So if you want to check it out later, you can find it too. There's a QR code here, and it's also going to be in the slides. I'll try to share with them. Okay, so now we understand that there might be some issues with lazy loading. We definitely need to save the query. But how do we do that? Lazy loading done right is kind of easy, but it's really important to get these things, to understand these rules. First of all, don't rely on Googlebot to scroll or interact with bots when you see it. It's not going to do this. Make sure that Googlebot sees the whole page when it visits the page, not only the content about the fold. Secondly, have all images available to Googlebot using web standards. Remember this, super important, image and then source, waiting to the right URL. And include the right image URL in your source. And when I say source, I actually mean source because sometimes it's confused with source set and they're completely different. Because source shows the path to the image where Google can see the image, index, and rank. Source set, on the other hand, specifies a list of image files to use in different situations, for example, with different screen resolutions. Here's an example. Source set just lists different images for different screen resolutions. But then there is also source, which points to the main image. It's going to be used kind of like a default image that Google will index and rank. And you can have other images in the source set, that's fine. Ooh, okay, that was the third door. And I feel I have this intuition that now we need to stand up again. I'm sorry, but stand up again. That was a lot. And we'll do just a small dance. No judgment here, just a small dance. We need to shake off this old sneaky technical SEO issues. Okay, thank you so much. It's not the end. It's not the end of my talk, but thank you so much for standing up again. I appreciate you. I wanted to finish with some things that I find, especially we as women, sometimes get intimidated because technical SEO can get intimidating. And people will tell you, oh, you can't do technical SEO if you're not a developer or if you're a woman. But let's be honest, we can wear pink and we can crawl websites at the same time. That totally works. I tested it. Thank you. And I want to leave you with 3 things. First of all, in order to be a great technical SEO, you need to know how to debug issues. You can use any tools to do that. You can use Screaming Frog, you can use Google Search Console, whatever. But you need to know how to debug issues. The second thing, super important, especially when you want to be an advanced technical SEO, you need to know when an issue is a real issue. Like for example, using a link as a button might not be an issue. Using a button as a link might not be an issue if that's exactly what we want to do. But you need to understand that when it comes to different websites, there can be different scenarios, and you as a technical SEO is responsible for identifying the best solutions for this or that application, because guess what? It really depends. And also, it's on you to ignore all those many alerts that Google Search Console will send you saying, oh, this page is not mobile friendly, what it is. So it's on you to decide, okay, whether it's a real issue or not, because you can't just have 70 pages report to your client and send them and hope for the best. That's not going to work. And then the last thing that will help you to be a really great technical SEO is you know the best approach to solve the issue. Once you know it's an issue, you know the best approach. Again, considering the current tech stack of the website and business goals. So if this page, you don't need this page, does it need to be redirected or forward on the index? It depends. And the best thing here, you don't need coding to do that. You don't need to be a developer. I don't have any development degree or anything. I just know exactly what I need to know, and I partner with people who do their job. Developers do their job, I do my job as a technical SEO. So you absolutely don't need to know coding. So that's me. Thank you so much. I was really happy to be here. Tech SEO cohorts, someone today told me that at their agency, this made me so happy. Thank you so much again for participating.